This summer, we've been inviting members of our community to share their Jewish journeys, however they understand that to be, as a way of inspiring us and learning about the great work that they do. Tonight, we're delighted that our guest is a member of our community center, Senator Josh Becker. Though he is the consummate Californian, he actually was not born here. He was born in Villanova, Pennsylvania. But he has spent his life seeing needs and finding ways to address those needs, whether it's from helping to start a school in Guatemala to retrain those who survived the wars in the 90s in that country, to starting a biotech company focused on cancer research, to the work he does in the state legislature to promote green energy. Josh has been a force for good wherever he has found himself. He has been an entrepreneur, a community organizer, and as we know, now serves in the California State Senate. He and his family have belonged to Beth Am for more than 2 decades, and it is a pleasure to invite him tonight to share with us his own Jewish journey. Please join me in welcoming Josh Becker.
Well, thank you. It's gives me such pride to be here as a state senator and as a member of this community. And I was thinking, you know, my Jewish journey, I talk about my Jewish upbringing, to talk about my summer camp, you know, from a camper all the way to CIT, to a counselor, to my Lubavitch relatives, to, what do I talk about? And I realized none of it really matters, because you're all going to be looking at that tree, that beautiful tree, a Susian large tree over there. So maybe relax a little bit. I'm just really honored to be here, and glad that my son, Aaron, could be here with us today. He's now, talk about leadership, heritage chair of his fraternity. It was mostly Jewish fraternity, so we're looking for ideas for his fraternity for next year. But really glad that he could be here. And I'm just grateful for the invitation. And your welcome reminds me how much of my service is tied into my own Jewish journey. I just stand with great gratitude for the privilege of serving California and our community, but really for the traditions and teachings that our faith has given me and brought with me on this journey. I want to start with something that wasn't always a positive memory when I was thinking about this, and that is was going to Hebrew school. Because I went twice a week for a couple hours and on Sundays, and there were days that I wanted to finish the Casey Kasem top 40, because I'd always have to leave at number 8, and I'd never know what was number 1 song in the nation. And then I'd miss the first quarter of football. So that was it was very difficult. But I realized that later, those afternoons of repetition, of memorizing blessings, of sitting through lessons, I didn't always understand. They built muscles I didn't even know I was really exercising. The patience to stay present, the discipline to learn something difficult, not for instant gratification, but for meaning that might reveal itself years later. And even, yes, the skill of speaking in public. Think about when you're 13, going up in your bar mitzvah. It's a very stressful time. But I know you're going to be wonderful. I can already tell from the blessings that our B'nai mitzvahs gave us. And my son, Aaron, was bar mitzvahed here at Beth Am. But I think that was probably the leading, even though I was a super shy kid, like having to do the bar mitzvah led to, debate team success. I mean, our Jewish community, we have a propensity to argue. So I think that was a big influence there as well. So I just want to share really 3 specific areas. One was sense of community. And we all know you're here, you're part of this community, you're part of a larger Jewish community as well. If anyone ever played Jewish geography growing up, and you realize, how small that Jewish world is. And that was for my summer camp. That was for all these other, places that I went along. But I've really found myself searching for that and really wanted to create that sense of community wherever I go. And it also started from my big Jewish family. We had, the kind of the almost stereotypical growing up, like big after every holiday, big gathering, arguing who's got the best brisket or, the best kugel, or the raisin kugel or the not raisin kugel. And so those kind of gatherings, a lot about food, most about sports, and a little bit about the topics of the day. But I really sought to create that community for myself. So whether it was a Full Circle Fund, a nonprofit I started, which was about coming together and all of us sharing our time and our resources to help nonprofits in the community, to Round Zero and later Startup, a dinner series, tech dinner discussion series that I ran, or even in the legislature. My proudest role as I'm chair, I joke, I'm chair of the Sheridan Caucus, which you're wondering, what does that mean? That's a group of senators who happen to live at the Sheridan. So a lot of people they rent a house or they, buy a house up there, but there's about 10 or 12 of us who live at the Sheridan. So I'm very proud to be chair of the Sheridan Caucus, which has really been my home away from home. And even the Senate Democratic Caucus itself, there's 30 of us. And, like every community, even in the Jewish community I grew up, you don't agree with everyone all the time, but we always come together and find that sense of community. And I've really been able to, it's just been important to me and something that I've embraced because of my Jewish community. Second, not surprised, that sense of tzedakah. And I always remember being at the synagogue, and, they say the tzedakah for this month is X. And you're like, wow, that's super interesting. I didn't know about, that need in the world, or that group of people who were working on that need. Sometimes people in our very own synagogue who were, going back, or they were doing dinners around Ukraine because they came from that area, or people who were working with the refuseniks, the Russian Jews at the time, and traveling back and forth. So, that sentence, like each month about learning, and that really influenced me a great deal. So when I started Full Circle Fund, this group I mentioned, it was all about let's get people present, focus on a few issue areas, get people to go out and work with find groups in the community and have them present the work they're doing. And then each year we'll pick in each of our 3 issue areas 3 or 4 groups to work with and work with them the year with our time and our resources. And later when I did something, I can call the Resistance Fund because it's really about each month picking a different part of our civic infrastructure to work with and support. And that came directly out of my experience with tzedakah and hearing about it at my synagogue. And that was really my involvement for 20 years. That was all my community involvement. And third was really direct through this Beth Am community, and particularly around childcare. And I just want to thank Beth Am. We did this. Many of you were part of that. Did this these small group meetings for and these one-on-ones, and really figuring out where the community wanted to focus. And one of those areas was childcare. And Harvey Schloss of blessed memory was one of our leaders, and then Mel and others took. The whole group just became a real a community for me to get involved in that issue. And then Harvey said, go on the Child Care Partnerships Council in San Mateo County. So I did that. And when I got to the state Senate, that's one of the things I focused on. The first year, we did more than I thought we'd do in a decade. We went from 89,000 kids participating in TK to over 200,000 kids now. We appropriated over $1 billion my very first year for child care. And that was out of the work that we did here. And child care workers always check in with the folks we met through Beth Am. And they were first paying their workers $17.50 an hour, and then it went to $23 an hour. Now it's $28 an hour for someone without a college education, and they go to college education and get that paid for now. So that all came very directly out of the work that I was doing. I'm grateful to this community. But that sense of Tikkun Olam that we all talk about, that I know you all feel, because I know all the work that you all do for Repair the World is was just vital for me. I did one. I'm going to look at my notes here for a second on this one, because the other part that has been very important to me is to be part of the Jewish Caucus. And I've served for this is my 3rd year now as vice chair of the Jewish Caucus. And I couldn't, discuss my Jewishness without acknowledging what was going on in the world right now. And it's a hard time. If some of you are following, we had a big week up, here in California. But part of our upbringing is that immigrant story. I think that's part of so many of us. My grandparents were immigrants. My grandfather came when he was 14, and he worked in his brother Saul's corner store, and then started his own corner store. Didn't speak any English when he came. And that immigrant story is so crucial to all of us. And I just came here from meeting with a group of of women. One man, whose all husbands have been taken by ICE, or their kids have been taken by ICE, and I can't even tell you the emotion, and I think that resonates with us as a Jewish community. But anti-Semitism and hate of all forms are on the rise right now, reaching an all-time high as per the FBI last year. So I think it's more important than ever that we lean on our community to take care of each other, as our ancestors have done for centuries. They united and endured generation after generation through every tragedy and every evil committed against them. So we stand on those shoulders and those shoulders of those who came before us, and we know now are those shoulders for the next generations. And that's what pushes me to keep fighting and stand up for our Jewishness and our Jewish values, and that's been around nonprofit security grants for institutions, that's to protect synagogues, active Holocaust remembrance and education, and robust efforts to combat anti-Semitism. This year, we only have one priority. Last year, we had 4 priority bills, all passed, all having a huge impact. This year, our single focus priority is legislation to combat anti-Semitism in the classrooms. Thank you. It's about training teachers and administrators and establishing a statewide anti-Semitism prevention coordinator to ensure students learn in a safe, accurate, and respectful environment. And I won't go on that, but I'll just say not everyone understands or appreciates. There's a lot of information what we're trying to do. We're just trying to protect Jewish kids in the classroom and protect them from hate. And many of you have been part of that journey with us. It's been a 3-year journey, but the next 3 weeks are going to be really crucial to see if we get that over the finish line. I guess the last thing I'll just sort of end in is pride. I think it's important right now for all of us to live our Jewishness openly. And I always thought, if I was elected, how cool it would be to have that opportunity. And actually to speak here to all of you, it's really kind of a dream. And so that was all, when my last, I'll tell you this, my only other elected role before this was as student body president of Williams College, which is like 2,000 students. But the Jewish Center was in the basement of the church for 250 years. I'm not kidding. The basement of the church. And when I was there, they built a new Jewish center. And student body president, I got to march the Torahs out of the basement of the church to the new Jewish center. And that was such a great moment. And for me, now, to be able to have this opportunity of representing 1 million people here, to wear my Jewishness openly, to work with this community and for this community on so many wonderful issues, is just a real, honestly, privilege and opportunity. And I just, like all Jewish boys and young men, and I want to make my mom proud. That's it. At the end of the day, we just want to make our moms proud. I want to make the community proud. Thank you all for having me here today.